On the morning of December 4th, 2024, a masked gunman waited outside the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel as a healthcare insurance executive arrived for what was scheduled to be a routine investor conference. He wasn't firing in self-defense. He was executing what appeared to be a carefully planned assassination. This documentary aims to present an honest and unfiltered account of the case surrounding Luigi Nicholas Mangione and the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Luigi Nicholas Mangione is believed to have been born on May 6, 1998, as he was documented as being 26 years of age at the time of his arrest in December 2024. He grew up in Towson, Maryland, as part of a prominent family with deep roots in the Baltimore area. Mangione attended the Gilman School, an elite all-boys preparatory institution in Baltimore, where he excelled academically and was named valedictorian of his graduating class in 2016. Following his graduation from Gilman, he enrolled at the University of Pennsylvania, where he pursued studies in computer science and eventually earned both a bachelor's and master's degree from the Ivy League institution. Mangione's academic record reflected consistent achievement. At the University of Pennsylvania, he was involved in various technical projects and demonstrated proficiency in software engineering and artificial intelligence applications. After completing his graduate studies, he worked as a data engineer at TrueCar, a Santa Monica-based automotive digital marketplace, before relocating to Hawaii in 2022. During this period, Mangione maintained an active social life and engaged regularly with friends from his preparatory school and university years. He was described by former classmates as intelligent, thoughtful, and socially capable. Mangione appeared to be a promising young professional with strong academic credentials, family support, and a developing career in the technology sector. But there was just one developing problem. Mangione had suffered a severe back injury that significantly impacted his daily functioning. The injury, which stemmed from a surfing accident, led to chronic pain and consideration of surgical intervention. Friends and family members noted a marked change in his social engagement following the injury, with Mangione withdrawing from regular contact and declining invitations to gatherings he previously would have attended. In 2022, he relocated to Hawaii, where he lived in a co-living community focused on technology professionals. By mid-2024, however, Mangione had effectively disappeared from his normal social circles, with his last known communications to family occurring in the summer of that year. During this period of withdrawal, Mangione's online activity reflected a growing preoccupation with critiques of the American healthcare system. His Goodreads account showed reviews of books critical of insurance industry practices, and social media posts indicated increasing frustration with healthcare accessibility and corporate medical structures. In the month of December 2024, that isolation and ideological evolution would culminate in an act of violence in Manhattan. On the morning of December 4th, 2024, Brian Thompson arrived at the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel on 6th Avenue in Manhattan to attend United Healthcare's annual investor conference. Thompson, who served as the company's chief executive officer, had traveled from his home in Minnesota for the event scheduled to begin at 8 a.m. At approximately 6:45 a.m., as he approached the hotel entrance, a masked individual who had been waiting in the area stepped forward and opened fire. The gunman fired multiple shots at Thompson, using what appeared to be a suppressed firearm. Surveillance footage captured the assailant approaching from behind and shooting Thompson in the back and leg. After Thompson fell to the pavement, the gunman briefly paused as his weapon appeared to malfunction, cleared the jam, and fired additional rounds. The entire attack lasted less than 1 minute. Thompson was struck multiple times and collapsed outside the hotel entrance. Emergency services responded within minutes, but Thompson was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital approximately 30 minutes after the shooting. Investigators who arrived at the scene recovered shell casings that bore distinctive markings. 3 casings were found to have words inscribed on them: deny, defend, and depose. These terms, which investigators noted resembled language associated with insurance industry practices, suggested the attack may have been ideologically motivated rather than random violence. The specific wording appeared to reference tactics allegedly used by insurance companies to avoid paying claims. Following the shooting, the gunman fled on foot through an alleyway adjacent to the hotel. Surveillance cameras tracked his movements as he proceeded to a nearby location where he mounted an electric bicycle and rode into Central Park. The suspect's use of the park's extensive trail system allowed him to evade immediate capture, and by the time police established a perimeter, he had already exited the area. The shooting triggered an immediate and massive investigation by the New York Police Department. The New York Police Department deployed hundreds of officers and detectives to locate the suspect, establishing what would become one of the most intensive manhunts in recent city history. Investigators immediately began analyzing surveillance footage from cameras positioned throughout Midtown Manhattan and the surrounding areas. The footage revealed the suspect's movements before and after the shooting, including his arrival at a hostel on the Upper West Side several days prior to the attack. At the hostel, he had checked in using what was later determined to be a fake New Jersey identification card bearing the name Mark Rosario. As part of the investigation, police recovered additional evidence from multiple locations across the city. A backpack believed to belong to the suspect was discovered in Central Park, containing Monopoly money, but no weapon or identification documents. Investigators also located a burner phone and a water bottle the suspect had purchased at a Starbucks shortly before the shooting, both of which were sent for forensic analysis. Surveillance footage showed the suspect's face partially visible when he lowered his mask during an interaction at the hostel, providing investigators with images that could be distributed to law enforcement agencies nationwide. The evidence indicated the suspect had departed New York City following the shooting. Video surveillance from the Port Authority bus terminal showed an individual matching the suspect's description, boarding a bus departing the city on the morning of December 4th. The Federal Bureau of Investigation joined the investigation and offered a reward of up to $10,000 for information leading to an arrest, which combined with a separate $10,000 reward from the NYPD and a $50,000 reward from the FBI, brought the total to $60,000. Despite the extensive resources committed to the search, the suspect remained unidentified and at large for 5 days. Mangione was not identified through advanced forensic analysis or extensive digital tracking by law enforcement agencies. His capture came only as a consequence of an alert McDonald's employee in Altoona, Pennsylvania, who recognized him from widely circulated images released by investigators. On the morning of December 9, 2024, the employee contacted local police after observing a customer who matched the description and facial features of the suspect in the Manhattan shooting. Officers from the Altoona Police Department responded to the restaurant and approached the individual, who was seated in the dining area. When questioned by officers, the man initially provided a fake New Jersey identification card identical to the one used at the New York hostel. However, when asked if he had recently been to New York, he began to shake and became visibly nervous. Officers requested his authentic identification, and he eventually produced a New Jersey driver's license bearing the name Luigi Mangione. Upon hearing the name, one officer recognized it from the ongoing investigation and immediately requested backup. As part of his arrest, police recovered a significant amount of evidence from Mangione's possession. He was found carrying a ghost gun, a firearm assembled from parts without serial numbers, equipped with a suppressor consistent with the weapon used in the Thompson shooting. Officers also seized multiple fraudulent identification documents, including fake New Jersey and Pennsylvania driver's licenses bearing different names. Mangione was carrying approximately $10,000 in cash, including foreign currency. Most significantly, police discovered a handwritten document in his possession that investigators later described as a manifesto expressing hostility toward the healthcare insurance industry and corporate executives. The handwritten manifesto found in Mangione's possession provided investigators with insight into his apparent motives for targeting a healthcare insurance executive. The document, which law enforcement officials reviewed following his arrest, expressed grievances against the American healthcare industry and what Mangione characterized as exploitative practices by insurance corporations. According to investigators who analyzed the text, Mangione had written that the United States has the most expensive healthcare system in the world and criticized what he described as corporate prioritization of profits over patient care. Mangione's online activity in the months preceding the shooting reflected a developing preoccupation with healthcare system critiques. His Goodreads account showed he had read and reviewed several books examining the American medical insurance industry, including works that analyze claim denial practices and the financial structures of major healthcare corporations. In one review posted earlier in 2024, Mangione praised a book critical of insurance company practices, stating that it articulated frustrations he had personally experienced. His social media presence during this period also documented commentary on healthcare accessibility and what he termed parasitic business models within the insurance sector. His personal experience with the healthcare system appeared to have influenced his ideology. Following his back injury, Mangione had navigated insurance coverage for potential surgical intervention and pain management treatment. Friends who remained in contact with him during this period noted that he expressed frustration with the approval processes and coverage limitations he encountered. The combination of chronic pain, bureaucratic obstacles to treatment, and exposure to systemic critiques of the insurance industry appeared to have shaped his perspective on corporate healthcare entities. Investigators found no evidence that Mangione had any personal connection to United Healthcare as a policyholder, or that he had been directly denied coverage by the company. The targeting of Thompson appeared to be symbolic rather than based on individual grievance, with the CEO representing what Mangione perceived as a corrupt industry structure. The manifesto made reference to executives profiting from what he described as a fundamentally broken and predatory system. Following his arrest in Pennsylvania, Mangione faced legal proceedings in multiple jurisdictions. Pennsylvania authorities initially charged him with forgery, carrying a firearm without a license, tampering with records or identification, possessing instruments of crime, and providing false identification to law enforcement. These charges stemmed directly from the items recovered during his arrest at the McDonald's in Altoona. In the month of December 2024, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office filed separate charges against Mangione related to the killing of Brian Thompson. He was charged with 1 count of second-degree murder, 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, and 1 count of criminal possession of a forged instrument. The prosecution's case relied on surveillance footage, ballistic evidence, the recovered ghost gun, and the manifesto found in his possession. Mangione initially contested extradition from Pennsylvania to New York, but later agreed to waive his extradition rights. He was transported to New York on December 19, 2024, where he appeared before a judge and pleaded not guilty to all charges. As the offenses are serious, they carry a maximum possible sentence of up to life imprisonment. Mangione's defense attorney, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, a former chief assistant district attorney in Manhattan, has entered representations on his behalf. He remains in custody pending trial, which is scheduled to proceed in 2025. The impact of Mangione's alleged actions was immediate and multifaceted. The most obvious and direct victim was Brian Thompson, a 50-year-old father of 2 who had spent 2 decades building a career in healthcare management. Thompson had joined United Healthcare in 2004 and was promoted to chief executive officer in April 2021, overseeing one of the largest health insurance providers in the United States. His death outside a Manhattan hotel ended a career focused on insurance operations and left his family without a husband and father. United Healthcare and its parent company, United Health Group, issued statements expressing grief over Thompson's killing and emphasizing his contributions to the organization. The company canceled its investor conference scheduled for that morning and implemented enhanced security protocols for its executive leadership. Within days of the shooting, multiple healthcare insurance companies across the country began removing photographs and biographical information of their senior executives from public-facing websites, citing security concerns. The secondary impact extended across the healthcare insurance industry as a whole. Corporate security firms reported a significant increase in requests for executive protection services from healthcare companies in the weeks following Thompson's death. Several major insurers conducted comprehensive security assessments of their office locations and revised protocols for executive travel and public appearances. The incident raised concerns among healthcare industry leaders about potential targeting based on their professional roles, leading to discussions about enhanced security measures at industry conferences and corporate events. Mangione's case does not exist in a vacuum. It highlights a deep reservoir of frustration with the American healthcare insurance system that analysts and public health experts have documented as a growing concern affecting millions of Americans. The public reaction to Thompson's killing revealed the extent of this dissatisfaction in ways that surprised law enforcement officials and social commentators alike. Within hours of Mangione's arrest, social media platforms saw an unprecedented surge of commentary expressing sympathy for his apparent motives, with some individuals openly celebrating the attack on a healthcare executive. This response, while condemned by many, reflected widespread anger toward insurance industry practices. The healthcare insurance sector has faced sustained criticism regarding claim denial rates and coverage limitations. According to data analyzed by healthcare policy researchers, major insurance companies deny a significant percentage of submitted claims, with denial rates varying by insurer and procedure type. United Healthcare, the company Thompson led, has been cited in studies examining claim denial practices across the industry. Patients and healthcare providers have documented difficulties in obtaining approval for treatments, medications, and procedures that physicians deem medically necessary. These systemic issues have created what healthcare policy analysts describe as a crisis of access, where insurance coverage does not reliably translate to actual care. The financial dynamics of the healthcare insurance industry have also drawn scrutiny. Major health insurance corporations report billions of dollars in annual profits, while simultaneously implementing measures that limit coverage and increase out-of-pocket costs for policyholders. This disconnect between corporate profitability and patient access has fueled public perception that the system prioritizes financial returns over health outcomes. Healthcare economists have noted that the United States spends more per capita on healthcare than any other developed nation, while achieving comparatively poor health outcomes and leaving millions without adequate coverage. Law enforcement agencies, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, issued warnings in the days following Mangione's arrest about potential copycat attacks targeting healthcare executives. The FBI's National Threat Operations Center noted an increase in online rhetoric threatening violence against individuals in the healthcare insurance industry. Several companies reported receiving threatening communications directed at their executive leadership. Security analysts emphasized that the public response to Thompson's killing represented a dangerous normalization of violence as a means of expressing grievances against corporate entities. Healthcare industry associations called for increased dialogue about systemic reforms while condemning any acts of violence, regardless of the underlying frustrations that may have motivated them. What are your thoughts on the intersection of healthcare system failures and violence directed against corporate executives? Share your perspectives in the comments below. If you found this documentary informative, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more in-depth examinations of cases that reveal broader institutional and societal tensions. Who else would you like to see us detail next? Your engagement helps us continue to provide thorough documentation of complex events that shape public discourse and policy discussions.